Hello, I am Pramod Kumar and today we will study macroeconomics. Our chapter is Open Economy Macroeconomics and we have divided it into four parts. This is the first part we will deal with right now. In that we will discuss introduction, balance of payments and forex markets, right? So, how do we go about it? We will start with this. Uh, Interaction with other economies of the world, widens our choices in three broad ways. What are those choices? First is consumers and firms can have more choices for goods and services. Consumers and firms can have more choices in respect of goods and services. That is called product market linkage. Right? And the second one is financial market linkage. Suppose I have got money, I will keep on looking for where to invest. I will keep on looking for better markets which give me better return. That is called financial market linkage. Investors have the opportunity to choose between domestic and foreign assets. If I have money, I want to invest, I would like to see where I have got better opportunities to invest. Financial market linkage it is called. Third one is firms can choose where to locate their production or labor. Firms can choose where to locate their production or labor. They know where it is more beneficial. But as we know, there are several restrictions on the movement of labor by various countries. So, shifting production is easier as compared to the shifting of labor, right? So that is called factor market linkage because labor is a factor of production, factor market linkage. Here it says an open economy. An open economy is that which trades with other economies of the world in an open way. It doesn't put so many barriers, trade barriers by way of tariffs or quota barriers. Tariffs means taxes on import and export, and tariff and quantitative. Quantitative means we cannot import this much, we cannot export that much, quantitative restrictions. Right? An open economy is one that trades with other nations in goods and services and most often also in financial assets. Right? So, how do we get into this? See what happens, suppose we are in India and our appetite for consumption of imported goods has increased. So what happens? We had discussed some time back circular flow in the economy. Circular flow. So what happens when we import more? It escapes out of this circular flow. That part of the consumption, imported items consumption, escapes out of this circular flow. And what happens? Aggregate demand is reduced by that much amount. Aggregate demand is reduced by that much amount, so that is called leakage, right? And when our exports increase, it means that our goods will go out and money will come in. So what happens? That amount will enter this circular flow and what will happen? Aggregate demand will increase because we will be supplying for persons abroad. Aggregate demand will increase and that is called injection into the circular flow. If imports increase, that is, that amount escapes from the circular flow, and if exports increase, that is injection into the circular flow, that comes in, the money comes in. So total foreign trade, what does it do? What is it? Export plus import exhibits the degree of openness of an economy. Degree of openness. How much a particular economy is open, right? Suppose there is an economy in which the ratio of exports and imports to the total GDP is very low. So that economy will be called that it is not very open to the degree of openness is very low. Another economy, take another economy where the ratio of exports and imports to the total GDP is very high. So that will be called the degree of openness of that particular economy is very high, right? In case of India, the degree of openness of economy looks to be good, but that is more particularly on account of import of crude oil, right? What happens? We are dependent on imports of crude oil up to 85% to 90% of our requirements, right? So it adds hugely to our imports, and that's why our total export and import goes up, and it appears that degree of openness of Indian economy is high, but that is more particularly in respect of connected with huge import of crude oil. We need to import 85 to 90% of our requirements of crude, right? So we'll go ahead. When goods move across national borders, India outside. When goods move across national borders, goods have gone out, money needs to come in, right? Goods have come in, money needs to go out. So goods and money, they move in opposite directions. If goods come in India, money needs to go out. If goods go out of India, money needs to come in, right? So at the international level, there is no single currency which is internationally accepted by all, right? Because for acceptability by all, two important things will be required. What is that? First one is that there will be free convertibility. Free convertibility means one currency to other to still another. Free convertibility. And second is at what rate, right? So suppose no country can assure that we can get the other currency at which rate, because they don't have control over that. Suppose we are having rupee, we cannot assure somebody that you will get this many rupees against $1 or this many dollars against this many rupees, because we have got control over rupee but not over the US dollar, right? So we go ahead. Now we go to the balance of payments. What is balance of payments? Okay. See, balance of payments is constituted of two parts: current account, capital account, right? So what is current account? Current account records exports and imports of goods and services plus transfer payments. Once again, current account records exports and imports of goods and services and transfer payments. Goods and services export import we know. What are transfer payments? Suppose somebody is living in the UAE or Oman or any other country, Bahrain. So that person remits money to his house, home, earns there, remits money. That is called remittance. It comes under transfer payments, gifts, grants. Suppose we get gifts, we get grants. All these things fall under transfer payments, right? What are the transfer payments? Remittances, gifts, grants. right? So current account records exports and imports of services and transfer payments. Then another is capital account. What is capital account? Capital account records all international purchases and sales of assets. Current account records all international purchases and sales of assets. For example, money, bonds, stocks, shares, etc. Right? That is called capital account. And balance of payments is made of these two. Now let us go to current account. What is current account? We have already discussed current account records exports and imports in goods and services and transfer payments. Now suppose exports are more than imports, then we have trade surplus, right? Suppose imports are more than exports, then we have trade deficit. Suppose both are equal, then we have trade balance or equilibrium. Both are equal, right? When exports are more than imports, trade surplus, because we get more money for exports and pay less for imports. When imports are more than exports, we have trade deficit. Imports are more means we pay more, get less. We pay more for imports, get less for exports, trade deficit. And export is equal to import is equal to trade balance. If export and import are equal, then we have trade balance, right? Trade surplus, trade deficit, trade. So this is a part of current account, right? Current account. So current account records imports and exports in goods and services and transfer payments, right? Now we go to capital account. What is capital account? Capital account records all international purchases and sales of assets. Assets. What is that? Money, bonds, stocks, etc. Right? So when we total these, the balance gets transferred to the balance of payments. Right? Suppose as on 31/3/2019, balance of payment was rupees 1 lakh crore, right? As on 31/3/19, balance of payments was 1 lakh crore. It was positive. During 1920, 2019, 2020, what happens? We have current account surplus of 10,000 crore and capital account deficit of 5,000 crore. Then what will happen? Current account surplus is more, capital account deficit is less. So 10,000 minus 5,000 is equal to 5,000. It will get added to the balance of payments, and as at the end of 31/3/20, we will have balance of payment positive of 1,05,000 crore. And if the situation is reversed, here, current account surplus is 5,000, capital account deficit is 10,000, then here we will need to deduct 5,000 crores. Current account surplus is 5, but capital account deficit is 10. So deficit is more, surplus is less. The difference will get transferred here, minus 5,000 crores, and it will become 1 lakh crore minus 5,000 crore, 95,000 crore. Balance of payment will become, it will decline by 5,000 crores as on 31/3/20. Right? So this is balance of payments. We will explain again. And what are invisible trade? In trade, we have goods and services. Services are called invisible because we don't find them. When we export services, we don't find them crossing the border. They are invisible. We can't see them. When we import services, banking service, insurance service, or whatever, shipping service, we don't see them crossing border and coming into India. So they are called invisible trade services. Right? And invisible trade, it is in services, as they are not seen to cross the international borders, and they include factor income and net non-factor income. Right? Factor income means, suppose Indians are earning abroad and foreigners are earning in India, the difference of the two. Right? So trade balance plus trade in services and net transfer is equal to current account balance. Trade balance means export minus import, whatever is there, plus or minus. Trade balance plus trade in services, that is goods, trade balance goods, trade in services, and net transfers. Suppose we get more by way of transfers, remittance, gifts, grants, and we send less. So we have a surplus of transfers, right? That is equal to current account balance. And when do we get current account deficit? Current account deficit, when do we get? When outflow is more than inflow, right? Current account deficit, outflow is greater than inflow. And when we have current account surplus? When inflow is more than outflow. Deficit, when more money goes out, less comes in. Surplus, more comes in and less goes out. Right? That is, that's it. Balance of payment. Trade surplus, we know. It's very simple, export minus import. If exports are more than imports, we have trade surplus. If imports are more than exports, we have trade deficit. If both are equal, we have trade balance. Right? Trade deficit, trade balance, trade surplus. Then this is referred to as a current account deficit. Current account we have already discussed. Current account deficit, what is that? It means that current account deficit, that in current account, on account of current account, we have paid more, received less. We have paid more, received less. And what is that current account? On account of exports and imports in goods and services and transfer payments, we have paid more, received less. So we have current account deficit. If we have received more and paid less, we have current account surplus. Right? Then there is a very simple example. Can a country have a trade deficit and a current account surplus simultaneously? Right? Can a country have trade deficit and current account surplus simultaneously? Yes, it can happen. When we are talking country has trade deficit, export 10,000 crore, import 12,000 crore. So trade deficit is equal to trade deficit is 2000 crore. Now suppose transfers by way of remittances, gifts, grants are more than 2000 crore. If transfers are 3000 crore, then what we will have? We will have current account surplus, right? Exports 10,000 crore, import 12,000 crore. So we have trade deficit of 2,000 crore because imports are more than exports, right? In case transfers by way of remittances, gifts and grants are more than the trade deficit, then we could have at a single point of time trade deficit as well as current account surplus simultaneously we could have, right? Now we go ahead. Balance of payment surplus and deficit. Now it's very simple. What we earn, what we spend. If we earn 10,000 rupees and spend 11,000 rupees, what happens? Earn 10,000, spend 11,000. So we are in deficit of 1,000. So how do we meet this deficit? Either by selling assets, if I have some asset, or by borrowing money, right? I earn 10,000, spend 11,000. So I have a deficit of 1,000. So how do I match this deficit, make up this deficit? Either by selling some of my assets or by borrowing money. So many a times balance of payment deficit is made up by, how is it made up? By capital inflows. BOP deficit through capital inflows by way of borrowings, right? It is made up. And balance of payment surplus and deficit. We know when do we get balance of payment surplus? When the total of capital account and current account is positive, we get positive surplus, balance of payment surplus, right? And when the total of these two is negative, because their total is carried out to the balance of payment position, balance of payment account, right? So any current account deficit is of necessarily financed by a net capital inflow. Any current account deficit is necessarily financed through capital inflows, right? Alternatively, what do the governments do? Governments do official reserve transaction they carry. If they don't do this, what do they do? Official reserve transaction. What is that? We have some forex reserve, foreign exchange reserve. So we use money from that reserve to complete this deficit, meet this deficit, right? The country could engage in official reserve transactions. Country could engage in official reserve transactions. Suppose deficit is of 5,000 crores. So what will the government do? Government will use 5,000 crores out of its foreign exchange reserves, take the foreign currency into the market, sell it, get money back, rupee back, and make up the deficit, right? The country could engage in official reserve transactions, running down its reserves of foreign exchange, running down, because I have already said, if there is a deficit of 5,000 crore, government will dip its hands into its forex reserves, foreign exchange reserves, take out the reserves, go to market, sell the foreign currency, get rupee and meet this deficit. This way the foreign exchange reserve keeps on going down through official reserve transactions, right? The decrease in official reserve is called the overall balance of payment deficit. The decrease in official reserve, see, when we keep on meeting this through this official reserve transactions, our reserve keeps on declining, right? The decrease in official reserve is called the overall balance of payment deficit. Balance of payment deficit. And increase in official reserve in BOP is called surplus. BOP surplus, balance of payment surplus, right? Then we come to autonomous and accommodating transactions. What are they? Autonomous and in balance of payments we have two kinds of transactions. Autonomous transactions are those transactions which are carried without any consideration of BOP position. Whether the BOP is in surplus or in deficit, these transactions are carried out irrespective of the BOP position, right? Suppose I am carrying out some transaction, forex transaction for profit motive, right? So it will fall in the autonomous transactions. International economic transactions are called autonomous when these transactions are made independently of the BOP, balance of payments position. If I do some transaction with a profit motive, that will be called autonomous transactions. These items are called above the line items in the BOP. In the balance of payment statement, they are called above the line, autonomous. Then others are accommodating transactions. What are the accommodating transactions? They are called below the line transactions in balance of payments statement, and they are determined by the net consequences of autonomous transactions. Autonomous transactions are carried on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So whatever consequence of the autonomous transactions are there, they are called accommodating transactions, below the line transactions in the balance of payments statement, right? The official reserve transactions are seen as the accommodating item. We have already discussed official reserve transactions means when we try to meet the deficit through official reserve transactions, means out of our reserves we use the money to meet the deficit, that is called official reserve transaction. That way we keep on decreasing our official reserves with each transaction, right? So it says the official reserve transactions are seen as accommodating item in the BOP, all others being autonomous, right? Then the third item is after current account and capital account, errors and omissions. We need to record errors and omissions also. So what are the errors and omissions? The amount of errors and omissions in the balance of payments position statement shows our inability to settle balance international transactions, right? Errors and omissions. Suppose we are trying to balance our BOP, balance of payments, right? Liability side, asset side. This is coming to 99, this is coming to 100. It means either this one is overstated by 1 or this one is understated by 1. So when we carry errors and omissions transactions for 1, that is called E and O, errors and omissions. They constitute the third element in the balance of payment statement apart from current account and capital accounts, which is the balancing item reflecting our inability. We are not able to record all international transactions accurately. Somewhere we have made a mistake in recording transactions, right? That's why we need to carry one transaction of errors and omissions for the residual amount, for the unbalanced part of the amount, right? I hope you found it easy to understand. In case of any difficulty, you may please approach me on my email ID, which will be there at the thumbnail to the video. Thank you very much.